I asked Phil to come up and join me and work with me as a team to talk through some of the issues as to why people don't proactively prospect or seek out business. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, you know, it's funny because we were talking so much about how important this is. You know, which group do you want to be in? Do you want to be the 20% making 80% of money, but flip that over, and you don't want to be in the group that's the 80% of the people chasing after just that 20%. And really, we talk, what is it? And it really kind of is fear, right, Dennis? I mean, that's kind of it. What else it's fear, that unknown, right? What else do you think it is?
Well, I think people sometimes when they're in a prospecting situation, they always internalize rejection. So if somebody says no to them, they think it's their problem. Many times my experience has been, it had nothing to do with me, but it has to do with circumstances. Okay, for example, if somebody says no to me coming over and talking with them about selling their house, maybe it's because they have a cousin in the real estate business. And they didn't verbalize that to me, so I may sit there and feel like this is some kind of personal failure, but it's really not. I can tell you that if you do this and do it well, it's going to work for you. You have to get past your fear. We're going to talk in a moment about how to do that, some of the solutions to these kinds of problems. Another one is that you just, you enter into the field where you just don't know what's going to happen next. And some people see that as an adventure. Some people just freeze up and lock up. And
Well, they don't want to fail, right?
yeah, they don't want to fail, right?
And it's kind of that fear of not having the response, right? What's going to do if they
What
ask
am I
me a
going to say
question?
next? Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
maybe they're going to yell at me.
Yeah.
How often did you get yelled at when you asked for a business?
Astonishingly small percentage.
And you asked
And I was-
lots and lots of people, right?
I was in a lot of high-risk situations. I was astonished at how little people hassled me.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
had the exact same experience too.
Yeah.
With the people
Yeah.
I've managed in this.
And I got to the point where I did so much of it that I realized that people once in a great while would be a little succinct, a little short with me, a little curt. And most of the time, if that persisted longer than 15 seconds, I learned that this was not somebody I wanted to do business with anyway.
Sure.
So
People
it was-
procrastinate. As you said, your get around to it list, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We'll do it next week. You're just talking about, you just jump in and do it to your advantage.
You got to manage your time. You got to set yourself. If you're thinking about doing something that's high risk, you got to schedule a time for it. You have to have enough self-discipline to get in the box and get this work done. And if you do, it's incredibly rewarding and fulfilling and gratifying and profitable.
Do you want to talk about the solutions, where it kind of comes from?
Yeah, go ahead.
So
You go first.
My whole thing is it's all about the training. You know, it's really difficult to go in there if you don't know what you're going to say next. You know, knowing that what you're going to say next, and actually the confidence is going to come through having good scripts, knowing what you're going to say. It's like knowing you have a killer presentation and knowing that you're well prepared. You know, the more prepared you are, the better you're going to be able to control those results.
Well, this is what I believe about the business, is that education produces competence, and competence produces confidence, and confidence produces behaviors, healthy behaviors that get you where you want to go in a hurry. Now, there may be people out there that can wing it, can get up there and talk to in high-risk situations and solve problems and get through them effortlessly, like world-class ballerinas. This is important. I've never met any. Okay? I've never met one. The people that I know...
That can wing it.
Yeah, that can wing it. They can wing it really, really well to a point where I went, wow, that is so cool. Never seen anybody do that. Everybody I know that I consider a professional in the real estate business takes the time to figure out what they're going to say, how they're going to say it, and they're intentional, structured, and disciplined about producing a specific result. The most important result being comfort on the part of the person they're talking to. You just got to do this, guys, and a lot of people don't, okay? So that's why we're hanging with this subject a little bit.
Well, Dennis, it's funny because one of the things when we first met, really struck me is, one of the things we shared is that agent success is the amount of time they spend outside of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And what's kind of funny about this though is if they really get this down, they will be in their comfort zone doing this. But it's that initial one. And maybe you want to just comment on the role playing, and it does make the unknown known, right?
Well, role playing is a way of teaching yourself. Okay, like if you're sitting there and you're listening to this and you're not taking any notes, but you're just actively listening, you're going to remember 18% of what we said 24 hours from now. If you're taking notes and you're proactively engaged, we can maybe push that into the 40s or 50s if we're lucky. If you role play this and you sit down with somebody else and you get into these situations, the retention level is 90% plus. So you think of role play as a place to get uncomfortable, fail, mess up, have some fun, and enjoy the process of getting better rather than being afraid of it, okay? Because if you do, that's where the magic happens. You can create field conditions right in wherever you're sitting.
Well, and there's so much money riding on it. At stake then, at least role playing, there's no money. Maybe you're pride a little bit sometimes, but there's no money at that point. But, the other thing, Dennis, is funny, we can talk about that, but even to learning your scripts or learning how to do this or going out is all about the time blocking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
You got to schedule time for it. You can't schedule over it, because if you don't and the urgent becomes far more important than it should be, there goes your income. These are things that you just simply have to make time for and make sure that they happen. And the first one is learning your craft, learning what to say and how to say it, and creating the desired results. And then you can go out there and create positive outcomes. And once you do, it's a huge deal. If somebody says, I'm thinking about buying or selling a house, you're going to say something to them. And if they buy or sell a house in the next 30 days, somebody's going to get the money. Somebody's going to get $6,000 to $10,000. Might as well be you. And keep in mind that there's an 80 to 90% chance if you sit in their dining room on Tuesday afternoon, 2 o'clock, you're going to be the one who gets the money. So where does that money come from? It comes from what you say next. That's how important this is.
But
it's critical.
You know what? It's 100% how critical that is, right? But what's funny, and part of it's just your attitude of going out, right? Mm-hmm. We've always said, it'd be like, let's go make the calls, let's go get the money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's go get the money.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Right? It's that whole idea that it should be fun.
It should be fun. And if it's not fun to a degree, okay, it's a little nerve-wracking, but if it isn't fun, if it isn't an adventure, go back to education, go back to training, look at your skills, okay? Look at your skill levels and get them to the point where it is fun.
I'll tell you who always helped me make it fun is I had a prospecting partner.
Yeah.
And we kind of back things up. We talked. Before we did it, we would have conversations. We actually go knock on doors. We'd talk beforehand. We'd meet afterwards. We'd have breakfast and we'd meet afterwards. Or even how many calls you're going to make. Someone to hold you accountable, right?
Get a buddy. Get a buddy.
Having a buddy, I thought, is I think key in this
huge.
Business.
It's huge. I was blessed and fortunate to have Amy in the business with me for a number of reasons. And one of them was we would script these things out. And she is a far better dialogue coach. And she's just a wordsmith. She's an expert. And I would write something out, and she would say, try it this way. And we would massage these dialogues together. We would figure out a way to make them right, and we make it happen. So create that relationship with somebody else who wants to get better. Okay? It's a huge deal.
I can't emphasize that enough. Before I would teach classes, sometimes I would have people that would come in early and practice the dialogues from the previous week.
Yeah.
And they were holding themselves accountable beforehand. And just the power of that.
It's great,
right?
And it's fun. It should be fun.
And they all use presentation tools, right? Yeah. They have to have a killer presentation.
And give that person, make yourself for that person a safe place, and vice versa. Okay, give yourselves a little bubble in which to just get in there and let the paint hit the wall. Okay, just have some fun with it. You'll get better quick.
I kind of think about the things you share with me, and the other one was your success is going to be in direct proportion to how much time you spend working, not just in the business, but on your business, working on that presentation.
You're working on your batting average, okay? Like, I give you an example. Let's say that you go from 10 contacts and you get one person to work with you, and you using skill sets and dialogues and taking your time and having a killer presentation, use all this stuff. And let's say you take it from 1 to 2. That makes everything you do all the time, every time, worth twice as much money to you. Twice as much money. So it's kind of like, why wouldn't you do this? Okay? So in summary, in this area, we're saying a lot of the fear that happens with this is imaginary, self-induced, grounded in the fact that maybe the training and education wasn't there. So challenge yourself. You know, people used to come to me and say, how do I know when I'm done training? And I said, when you look at a subject like time management and you say, I got this. I got this. I got this cold. My time is spent and invested the best way possible. How can it possibly get any better? Your guts will tell you where you are with this stuff. I hope you pay the price to be proud and successful with what you're doing. This business can be a lot of fun, and if it's not, go back to class.